Welcome to Launch Code, a premier business podcast, starring Evan Hafer, Matt Best, and Jared Taylor.
Hey, welcome to Launch Code Podcast. Today we have, I don't know, would we define this as a special guest or
I'm
just a guest?
a guest?
Yeah, I would say you're special in a lot of different ways.
Some people don't.
A former special ops guy. Oh, I love that. I love that word so much. So we've got Trevor on the show today. So give us your background. You know, you can talk. Give me your 5-minute who, what, when, where, why.
All right. So, who, what, when, where, why? I am a Southern California not surfer.
Right.
Didn't grow up surfing. Have surfed some. Not enough to say I'm a surfer. I decided I wanted to join the Navy after doing about a year at an art school. So, you know, they thought I was a weirdo there, and guess what? They thought I was a weirdo in the SEAL teams too. So that really worked out great for me.
Right.
Did about 9 years in the SEAL teams, 3 deployments. I was at SDV, which if you don't know means I know how to dive a little bit and how to suffer.
You know how to drive. You know how to drive a boat.
Kind of. It's more like playing asteroids.
Right.
Yeah, you don't really see anything. You're just kind of looking at like DOS. So
Right.
it's pretty cool.
So when'd you get out?
I got out about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, almost on the nose. Kind of November 27th, I think, is my exit date.
Yeah, we're almost right at your 2-year mark.
Yeah, it's weird.
So what's
Panic time.
it been like for you? I mean, prior to getting out, obviously, you know, everybody has their own kind of transition plan. Were you planning for it? Were you looking at it and saying, okay, I've got, you know, a year, 6 months, whatever it is, and then making kind of plans to get out? Or
yeah, I'd call it about a year-ish. So somewhere about a year, I was in the decision-making process to either go to the team in Virginia Beach.
Right.
I thought about that. I talked to my buddies out there, and they gave me the idea that, hey man, op tempo is just not necessarily like what you would want to do, especially with the cycle that it would take by the time I was over there. Just if you can cut ties.
Right.
And it felt good to do that at that point. I got to do everything I wanted to do. I mean, I joined the Navy to be a frogman, and I got to do some frogman shit. And I got to deploy. I got to go to Afghanistan. I did all the stuff I wanted. Mm-hmm. So my transition plan was, all right, cool. Well, you know, try and set yourself up with the right connections, the right people that care about you and stuff that you care about. So I spent almost 3 years jumping on the jump team, doing demonstration jumps, and that led me to be able to work with skydiving companies and base jumping companies, specifically Apex in Temecula, that's a base jumping company, and then skydiving demonstration jumping. Like I had a lot of contacts there. So I wanted to end up working and teaching an MQT course for the Air Force. But the guys I was working with, the contract didn't come through, so I ended up then having to piecemeal what I was going to do together, which has led me in a good way further in my life. Like I've been able to take up hunting, to take up a little more backcountry sports, more of the truck camping, and moving my life in a direction that I think is a healthier step away from the military side, because I would have essentially just been transitioning into an instructor role for a military group, even though I wanted to just cut ties with the military. But I don't know if I was super clear to myself about how clean that cut would have been had I been an instructor.
What was it? Did you notice any negative side effects, I guess psychological side effects, in transitioning away from the Navy, or were they all positive?
I think it was almost completely positive. Being at the jump team is a bit like being a civilian jumper that is also still a team guy. We stay up on our qualifications, all the dive, shooting, everything, but you're traveling so much and you're in such a relaxed standard that it allows you to be outside of the quote Navy or quote teams without actually leaving the military.
Right.
So the transition process felt pretty relaxed. and didn't feel super stressful. When that contract didn't go through, that was a little stressful.
Right.
That was more of an oh shit than actually signing the DD 214.
Right.
That was more like, oh crap.
Yeah. What are you gonna do now? What do you?
Right.
So when you're on the jump team, like how many dudes are on that team?
So they run the jump team. There's a permanent trainer there, Jim Woods. He was
I know Jim real well.
Yeah. So Jim was a team guy. He
Yep.
was also a diver. He's probably the most experienced demonstration jumper on the planet. I'm sure there are guys that are in the realm, but Jim's done more demos than anybody I can think of.
Right.
It's friggin' ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he's the permanent team trainer. There's also a rigger, and then between 5 and 10 team guys
Wow.
are on that team at any one time. So it's between 5 and 10. The happy number's like 8 or 10. Sometimes it's about 5, and it gets stretched a little thin.
So is that pretty competitive to try to get on that? Are there a lot of guys wanting to get on that, or is it one of those things where you throw your hat in the ring?
It ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
They only technically they're open to people trying out any time of the year. Really, they want you to try out at specific times of year so that they can train you up and get you ready for the next demonstration season.
Right.
So like the winter spring time frame is really the best time to get over there. So guys that are on some sort of rotation date that functions around Thanksgiving to March, like I was.
Right.
Those are the dudes that end up having the easier time transitioning over there. It's competitive for guys that like to jump.
Right.
And I mean, like, as you know, like in special operations, there's dudes that like certain things. Some guys like shooting all the time. Some guys like surfing. Some guys like climbing. Some guys like jumping.
Right.
The guys that like jumping are the ones that end up at the team, just flat out.
It's the same. You know, if you're a big shooting guy, you know, you become like the 3-gun dude.
Exactly.
And that's all you do, and that's what you do on the weekends. That's woven into part of your identity, right?
Like you're the hunting guy, you do long range shooting. It all kind of transitions real easy for dudes from the work thing to the hobby thing.
Right. I've known a ton of guys, man, that when they're transitioning, they come up with a plan, right? And just like every good plan, what happens with every good plan? It goes to shit. And then you kind of gotta find your way to work through that transition. And it sounds kind of like you had a plan, it went to shit.
Total shit.
And then finding your way, what was that like, and what were some of the things that helped you as far as being able to navigate that without,
So some of the things that helped me navigate that and to make it a little bit more seamless and less stressful were guys like Jim. Jim gives a shit about the people that are on the team.
Right.
He also, enjoys the guys that are kind of like him, jump-wise.
Right.
And he and I get along with a lot of that sort of stuff. So he helped me by retaining and getting me to do demos on the side.
Wow, that's cool.
So I got a little bit of extra cash flow, right? Some of the other demos that I do some for a private organization that works with the LA Sheriff's Department. Those guys were getting me demos on the side. And then I was able to also work with some guys like Johnny Primo.
Yeah.
Doing some
He's
shooting.
been on the show too.
Yeah. So I did some shooting with Johnny. I was doing some instructing with him. And like those are the kinds of personalities. Like I didn't really stray that far away from the community of special operations dudes, which is great. It's a really cool net there for dudes as long as you're willing to take advantage of it.
Right.
And that's really what has helped me bridge the gap between, oh shit, I don't have a job, to, okay, I think I can manage some of this stuff.
Right.
And it's led me into some cool shit. Like I got to do search and rescue and humanitarian work last year, all through Irma and Maria. I was there with a team of guys that some of them are former force dudes, some of them are former SEALs. Like it was really fucking cool.
Right.
And beyond that curtailed into doing some EP work. So all of it has really nicely dovetailed into another job, like another thing to keep me going until I can really settle down a point of view and focus hard into it, like what we were talking about, earlier.
Right. Well, and out of your peers, I guess that, as you look at and you see them, and you've seen them for the past couple of years, right, in their transitions. Like, what are the guys dealing with right now? Like, what is some of the big obstacles that you're seeing, like your peer group and dudes that you know that were in the military? What are they dealing with?
I think a lot of guys deal with a hard time with no schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they need to go do a thing, they can do the thing, right? But if they don't have somebody there telling them, like, hey, man, you need to go do some shit,
Right.
they don't do it. Guys have more of an emotional connection, I think, to their teammates than they thought they did. I mean, so over the course of 9 years, I think I went home for Christmas once.
Right.
And I had like 2 birthdays that were in the States. It gets to the point, and I don't know how much guys really realize that that's a thing.
Right.
That that's your family, the teammates that you're over there with,
Yeah.
and deploying and traveling with. So I think that when they lose that, and those guys are still off doing their thing, they don't get it. They don't get it again, and that puts them in a little bit of a slump. And then they're dealing with stuff like trying to file for the VA.
Right.
Which, I mean, good God, like, bless their souls for making it better for us, like the guys from the Vietnam era.
Right.
But it is embarrassing how tough it can be.
It's brutal. Like it's brutally difficult, and I think having patience with some of that stuff, and like setting people up for the psychological expectation that this is going to be a grind on this.
I wish they did.
Yeah.
And I really wish there was some system like, I mean, I've thrown the idea out to people in conversation, bullshitting, like, hey man, when you get your med screen out, especially in special operations units, that dudes get hammered physically.
Yeah. They're
right?
fucked.
There should be an 06 or above that has some sort of sign-off ability that says, hey, so-and-so deserves X rating at the lowest, period. Right? I shouldn't get out of the military and have to apply for the possibility of a no rating.
Right.
Right? I don't know if people understand that's a thing. Like,
Yeah, it is.
0% is a fucking rating, which means that you have med coverage from the military.
Right.
If you don't have 0%, which you have to apply for, you're getting nothing.
Right.
That's insanity.
No, it's
Right? You sign a contract that says, I am X. If I don't get out as X from the military, I deserve Y. There should be somebody at the end of that process in active duty that has the ability to sign you off for 0.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, and guys coming out of specifically, and I don't know about the other MOSs, but most definitely combat MOSs, and some of those different MOSs that just the effects, and I think a lot of this information is coming out about sleep, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, just the effects and the long-term effects of sleep deprivation and what they do to the brain and the body, guys should be automatically rated because they start sleep deprivation, I mean, straight away. Especially I remember as an infantry guy in Fort Benning. And were you an infantry guy, Dave? Well, that's a joke. You're not getting more than 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, which technically you're in sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
Plus,
You're causing damage.
yeah, you're causing damage, and then that continues throughout your career.
I mean, like 6 months. Buds is 6 months long. Right? That's what you're doing. 5 to 6 hours maximum of sleep for 6 months straight. That's if you don't quit, and that's if you don't get rolled back.
Right.
I was there for 8 months because I got rolled back a class.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of damage to your brain. And then I go to STV, and it's an SR team. What do you think you do when you're on an SR? You sleep real good on the dirt? No.
Yeah, yeah, you sleep great. You're getting deep REM. You're getting deep REM.
Cuddle
Well,
up
and
with
not
this
only that,
bush.
I was thinking about this, because huge portions of my career, the Q course is 1.5 years long, and then you've got months of sustained activities where you're sleep deprived, and then not only that, you're eating meals ready to eat or MREs every day, chock full of preservatives. Basically, just preserved calories. So whatever the fuck it is that who the fuck knows?
Whatever the mystery ingredient is.
Kind of tastes like food. It's not really food.
Well, the pork rib tastes pretty much like food.
Kind of. And then
The McRib.
their answer is, you drink water, drink more water, and then
Drink your canteen.
here's a Motrin, which all this information's coming out just about your gut bio, your sleep deprivation, all of these things are really fucking hazardous to people's bodies.
Yeah, and like hydration you can catch back up on. Right. Salt you can catch back up on.
Right.
There are a ton of studies out now. You cannot catch back up on sleep.
Nope.
What is it, like 75 or 80% is what you can retain?
Yeah.
After you've screwed yourself. So, okay, cool, you have 4 hours of sleep one night. The next night you sleep 12. You don't get 12.
No.
Your body actually thinks it only got like 10-ish, whatever the, mystical percentage-wise you want to throw out there as, which is fine, whatever. You're 27 and you can go kick ass. That's cool. That's great until you're 62 and you find out that sleep deprivation causes early onset Alzheimer's.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And now you're 60 plus years old, especially if you spent your career in special operations. And I see it in a lot of those guys, man. They start aging rapidly when they get older, and you see it too.
Oh, yeah.
Like it definitely, you get like an injury, which these things are compounding issues. So, it's stress, it's sleep issues, it's, diet and anti-inflammatories. It's really...
a crap ton of drinking.
Yeah, like binge drinking and fucking like
legit binge drinking.
Yeah, like blackout drive binge drinking basically. And I see it with the subculture, obviously, because we've got a ton of guys that were in the military and combat MOSs, and a lot of them were in special operations.
Yeah,
and we talk a lot about this, just the sleep. Like,
oh man,
it's fucking brutal, man.
And not only are you getting a tough time sleeping when, say, you're on an SR that's running a daytime op, right? Or during the Q course, or BUDS, or SFAS, or Ranger School, whatever. Now you're deployed. All right, what time do you deploy? Nighttime.
Yeah.
We operate at night.
Reverse cycle.
We operate at night. That fucks your circadian rhythm.
Yep.
Totally screws it.
Well, and a lot of guys that
do that for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I did for, 9 years or something, where is
super healthy.
Rotation after rotation, reverse cycle, bad food, like living next to burn pits. And I'm like, I am like waiting like for the time when I go into my doctor and he's like, you are riddled with cancer.
You have
like,
cluster cancer.
Like,
it's all over.
Yeah, it's all over. You're fucked.
Did you not notice the extra hand?
I've been talking to guys, like this is one of my big things, and I want to get a sleep scientist because we had a psychologist in here not too long ago, but I want to get a sleep psychologist in here just to talk to people about sleep, specifically in the veteran space.
Rogan had that guy.
Rogan had a
guy.
He did. I want to just like go down the rabbit hole with somebody and get like a panel of vets.
Yeah.
And just talk about sleep, because you have post-traumatic stress issues for guys. You've got, and I think a lot of the post-traumatic stress issues are compounded by the fact that guys aren't getting, they're not living a healthy lifestyle.
Well, and it's not just it's not just the PTSD. It's also the TBIs, right? So they're finding out that, everybody used to think, oh, it was a concussion, or you got blown up.
Right.
And now it's coming out that no, it's actually like you just kind of get thumped a little bit,
right?
And that's like how many poppers have you put on doors? That's a little TBI.
Yeah.
All right, cool, that's great. So now I'm finding out that oh no, it wasn't like those 4 times that I really saw stars and my teeth hurt.
Right.
It was the 5 million times that I've done it in training where they're like, all right, rig it up again.
Yeah, rig it up again, do it again.
Do it again.
Hey, everybody, don't worry, guys. Like this one's you're not going to be on this run, but you're going to be on the catwalk.
Just open your mouth.
Yeah, open your mouth and watch from the catwalk. Like
you're not the breacher. It's fine.
Yeah,
that's not how it
fucking
works,
laughable.
Dude. Like, bro, talk about some bro science right there. No, you're not the one initiating. It's fine.
I look back on it and sometimes I'm like, God, we were so fucking stupid. Like. And then the subculture is like, don't be a fucking pussy.
No, be hard.
Be hard.
I got to deal with that with the VA recently.
Right.
He's like, so you said your shoulders are, messed up. Like, you said you did this during BUDS. I'm like, yeah, I did. He goes, well, why isn't it in your file? I'm like, they would have kicked me out.
Right.
If I said I'd like subluxed, I thought dislocated my shoulder and it went back in during BUDS, you're toast.
Right.
You're gone. First
gone.
phase, they don't care. They don't have time for that.
Right. Well, they're just trying to get people out that aren't hard, which I totally get that. Like I totally get that, and I'm on board with it.
And so am I.
Like
and that's why I didn't say shit.
Right.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, I have historically loose shoulders, so it didn't cause major damage.
Right.
But it hurts still. Like it's a thing I have to think about.
Right.
That's cool. It's just like with, oh yeah, go ahead, initiate that charge.
Yeah.
But you're on the catwalk, it's fine.
Don't worry.
We don't need to
about
mark
that.
this one down for you.
Yeah, you're on the catwalk.
Or how about the shoot up the Gustav. You can
Yeah.
only do 2 today. But you're going to be loading the rounds for the next guy,
Right.
and then you're going to be bringing the crates up for the guy after that. So how many rounds did I shoot? Like
I don't know,
30?
100. Yeah,
what
fuck
the
it.
hell,
It's
man?
okay. Hey guys, I'm having heart palpitations and I didn't drink any coffee today. Is this an issue? No. Stop being a pussy. Get back up there.
Go sit in the butts.
I think, I love this conversation because these are conversations I have with dudes a lot. Where I'm like, hey, what are you doing for sleep? Like, what are you doing for sleep? I have modified my entire life around sleep. In the last year, I've been like really down the rabbit hole on this stuff in a way that I had. Well, first and foremost, my doctor told me that I had to sleep more or else I was going to die by the time that I was 50, like literally like fucking kill myself by
That's
a lack
cool.
of sleep. So that was a wake-up call, especially a guy that's got a couple kids.
Or a go to sleep call.
Yeah, go to sleep call. I like that one better. Because I was in the same mentality, like be hard. Stop being a pussy.
Just be hard.
Like sleep is a crutch. And I tell myself that shit every day. Like you sleep when you're dead, sleep's a crutch, stop being a pussy. As a guy that was individually motivating myself and driving myself into like fucking Lulu land.
Into the grave.
Yeah, like literally killing myself.
Yeah.
I had been so indoctrinated over the course of my career that, hey, I can push myself harder. I can push myself, much more than even somebody over my shoulder yelling at me.
It's just pain.
Yeah, it's just pain. Suck it up. Drink more coffee.
Drink more coffee.
Put more nicotine in your mouth. It's fine. Stop being a pussy. You'll have the rest of your life to be healthy.
Yeah.
Super healthy.
Super healthy.
About a year ago, I had I couldn't. Now, I broke myself. Like I broke myself sleep-wise. Completely fucked myself. So was drinking a little bit to try to put myself to sleep. That doesn't fucking work.
Nope. Been down that rabbit hole.
It doesn't
I'll just
work.
have 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'll have
All right,
2 or
cool.
3.
Yeah, that works 7 days in a row.
Or, hey, I'll just like kick a couple back or a couple fingers back before I go to bed, or I'll have a glass of wine or 3 glasses of wine turn into the bottle, and then you're like, okay, and then you wake up and you're like, I felt like I slept hard, but no, I didn't, like at all. And you feel like a fucking train wreck for the rest of the day. And I'd gotten to this point where I was sleeping less than I was even when I was like deployed. So I would sleep great in those fucking shipping containers. They crank up the AC and fucking you go. You're like out.
Got my little home.
Yeah, your little like it's so nice. It's so black.
Man.
Like you got fucking ice cold air flowing on you. It doesn't matter what time of day. You like
can load me
open
up
the
in a
door.
forklift,
And
put
you're
me
like,
wherever they want.
it's like fucking sun beating down. Like what? You feel like a vampire.
Oh,
It's like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Oh God, where are the eggs?
But I realized at my house, like, man, I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping at all. I'm like sleeping like 3 to 4 hours a night. It's fucking horrible. And I'm not getting even REM sleep, I don't think. Like I'm literally pulling myself or putting myself into the fucking.
No, you're going like straight through all the stuff that helps.
Oh, yeah. Horrible. And then I'm also thinking at the same time, like, man, I'm getting these injuries. Like I've got chronic tendonitis. Like what the fuck? Like I'm just.
Probably like stress or like that fullness in your head type of headache too every once in a while.
Yeah, that like because then
like I didn't have enough salt in the day.
That's when your tinnitus really starts fucking ringing. Is when you're sleep deprived. Yeah, like your head is ringing. Every morning you wake up, I have to drink up like a fucking gallon of coffee to start getting rolling.
Perfect. Well, that's how you do it.
But so much tendonitis that I can't fucking work out. I can't fucking sleep. Way too much caffeine, way too much fucking nicotine. But it was just a continuation of the life that I knew and the subculture I was from, where I'm like, fuck it, be hard.
Yeah, I mean, what that culture is doing and has done for the last 15 years is exactly what you can do to guys for that amount of time. And now we're seeing the repercussions, which is they ran those racehorses hard and they're running them until they're dying.
Yeah.
Right, and now guys are getting out and they have drinking problems. Their hips and knees are totally fucked. they can't sleep. They have like a 90% divorce rate. Like it's out of control, right? And is it their fault? A little bit. Is it the military's fault? A little bit. Is it the community's fault? Yeah, a little bit. But a little bit all adds up to the whole thing. You know?
I've noticed like my friends, a lot of my friends right now in the last couple of years, they're dropping dead. Like they're just like dying before they hit the floor.
Yeah.
And I've gotten like emails randomly or texts where it's like, hey, this dude died last night. I'm like, oh, what happened? Oh, he had a fucking little explosion in his head and he's fucking done. It's there's a lot of those guys.
How many pallets of monsters do you remember getting deployed? Like sent? Like, yeah, that shit's good for you.
Rip-Its and Monsters and Advil.
Tiger's Blood, whatever the hell that one was.
But the reason I'm pushing this type of narrative is you seem like a pretty healthy guy right now. Like physically, you seem like you're doing well.
I think I'm upper limit of like the weights I'm pulling are not where I was at my very strongest in the teams, right? But I'm like 80-90% there.
Right.
I'm also lighter and I feel better.
Right.
Older.
Yeah.
And all of that has come from really being interested in like that, you can call it biohacking, or really just trying to get back to living the life a human should live.
Right.
Physically, right? While still maintaining a little bit of sanity in the modern world. And a lot of it started with changing how I wake up.
Right. Let me hear it. Let me hear you wake up.
Yeah. So I wake up after I try my fucking damnedest to get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep.
Right.
And I say between 7 and 9 because 7-ish hours is enough, sort of. And 9 is if I had a long day and I like cranked it hard yesterday, right? I get up and the first thing I do in the morning is I'll go and have between like 18 and 32 ounces of water with sea salt in there.
Right.
You lose like a pound of body weight, a pound of water weight every night from sweating.
Right.
Okay. And when I sweat, I know I sweat really salty, so I eat a lot of salt. I also have a really high workload. Cool. So now I do that and I kind of move around, maybe do some push-ups and squats or whatever, just get my body rolling. When I'm done with that, then I'll have a cup of coffee. Because one, I like the taste. Also, guess what? Caffeine is a really cool drug.
Yeah.
And I love what it does to my brain.
Yeah.
I also like how coffee tastes a lot.
Right.
Sorry, you're not going to switch me to tea, like whoever's out there. If you've seen me drinking tea,
Jocko loves it.
It's because I like to have it sometimes because occasionally the flavor is cool and it's warm. But man, I would rather have coffee. Like, sorry. Oh well. But
you know, Aubrey Marcus says the same thing. Aubrey Marcus does the same thing.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember who I heard it from first.
Right.
It might have been him. It might have been Mike Glover.
Yeah.
He does the same shit.
Yeah.
Like he wakes up and drinks a whole bunch of water. Mike's the same way though. Like Mike is trying to like nail down the biohacking stuff. He's
I'm the same way. I switched to that program. Like I said, I've been trying to go down the rabbit hole, and I've tried it. I've tried it all, man.
Yeah.
Like I've tried drinking. I've tried not drinking. I've tried, THC, you name it, like any derivative.
Yeah.
Like I've tried it all in a way that's like just to get sleep. And I had fucked myself to the point where it was like I couldn't get 5 more on a heavy night's sleep. It was 5 hours.
Yeah.
And now I'm sleeping at least. I'm getting a solid 7, I think, on an average. So it's taken me about 3 months of really intense concentration. Like I turn off my electronics earlier, so I'm turning my electronics off like closer to around 9.
Yep.
Putting myself to bed earlier. I'm actually, blacked out everything in the interior of the house. Do the same thing. I try to naturally get up because it's early anyway. Yeah. I used to be the 4 a.m. guy, and now it's just like I grab an extra like hour and a half. So I'm like 5:30-ish. 5 to 5:30 is typically my window. And same thing. Like I put a reverse osmosis water filter in my house, so I get the cleanest water. It's like 12 pieces of water particulate or different particulate per million or whatever. And then I add minerals to it.
Yep.
And then I don't drink coffee. Sometimes I'm delaying that for another hour and a half past when I get up in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm using the stimulant more not as a stimulant, but I love coffee and it's part of my routine. So I just try to wake up before I put caffeine in my body, actually.
Yeah, your body's already rolling, right? And I mean, look, like whatever you want to believe, that's fine. But humans were like created for eons,
Right.
in one way, right? Like we functioned really well as hunter-gatherers, and our genetic material is built up of all the successful versions of that.
Right.
So yeah, we sleep at night, we get up in the morning, we see the sun, and then we do our shit. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Like you need water, you need to get up and see the sun. Like that's how you get healthy as a human being.
Right.
And then run your life however you want to run your life. That's fine, right? And I've been doing the same thing at night too.
Right.
Trying to get electronics off longer, like trying to eat earlier.
Right.
So my stomach isn't just sitting there digesting shit as I'm trying to, quote, go to sleep, because that's not working.
Right.
Right. And then I'm trying to stop drinking water earlier so I don't have to get up and piss.
Right.
I mean, a year and a half ago, I had a hard time sleeping more than a couple hours in a row. It'd be 2 or 3 hours maybe.
Right.
And then I'd try and go back to sleep. And then 2 or 3 hours maybe, and then try and go back to sleep. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right. And it's better now. Like maybe I'll get up and piss, but that's fine.
Right.
Like cool. Like my body's still like in that semi-sleep zone. Go right back to sleep.
What I've been, I have the kids. I have my kids, so it's not my wife and I both have children together, and they live in our home. I'm not trying to say I have kids, but
You didn't purchase them.
they'll wake me up. Like last night, they'll wake. Like my youngest daughter woke me up. It was hard. I did like walked out of my room because we sleep in the same room with my youngest daughter, and then slept on the couch for a while, and then I got up and went to my office. So like last night, I was just like going from like sleep area to sleep area, and I sleep with like white noise machines, earplugs, like you fucking name it, I got it in. And half the time I'm like, I should probably not be doing this because like this is
Somebody's gonna break in. And
somebody's gonna break in. I just hope the security system is working, because I am like, but I still hear anything and everything. That's the problem with me is if I hear something, it doesn't matter. It could be like a pop in a joint in the living room, and it's like I am up and I am at it. And I think that's an issue for a lot of vets. The more vets that I talk to, the more I am absolutely convinced that if we went to work on solving some of our health issues, I would literally start with fixing before we ever even talked about medication. We talk about sleep, exercise, and diet.
Absolutely.
If you went to work on sleep, exercise, and diet, a lot of the guys that are taking, and I'm not saying that they're not needed. I'm saying a lot of those wouldn't be needed.
Supplementation.
I know it.
Yeah.
Because I know when I started fixing those fucking things, like things started getting a little bit easier, a little bit better.
Yeah. And some of it's just being aware of it too.
Right.
Like, have you ever walked through doors and forgotten what you're trying to like get when you're going through that door? Does that happen often?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So like a friend of mine that I worked with on that humanitarian project in the Turks and Caicos, he was a force guy. And he's like, yeah, man, does this ever happen to you? I said, yeah, it does. He had just spoken to a psych, a friend of his, and she said, oh, well, that's easy to explain. And I'm like, well, tell me, because it's freaky and there's a shit ton of us that go through this.
Right.
He's like, well, okay, here's the deal. Your brain packets up all this information as it comes in, right? I don't actually look at that soda or at that drink and be like, that's a drink, right? And that's the only thing that's going on in my head. It's looking at this whole project, right? And it's prioritizing all of it. You have a priority list. Well, guys, especially in combat MOSs, and even more so in dudes that were special operations, the priority list is what's going on in this room? What are the threats?
Right.
Right? So your brain has been so programmed to threat analyze that you dump everything else down to the bottom of the priority list when you go through thresholds.
Huh. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
I feel like if dudes were more aware of shit like that, maybe they wouldn't think they're going bananas.
Yeah.
You know? And sleep helps with that. If you have a really good sleep cycle and your brain is functioning well and you're hydrated, you can recover from those things a lot quicker, and you won't be just confused as shit when you walk into the room looking for your keys and you're like, why did I come in here?
I feel it every day. And it's so interesting to me because I know when I can step into my office, and everybody in the office pretty much knows too when I've slept, because it's like it's like a machine just fucking getting shit done for the entire day, versus if I haven't slept, and typically it's later in the week, so it like the
Thursday, Fridays.
Yeah, it's like I get great sleep on Sunday night. Like I know I'm gonna fucking sleep like a rock star on Sunday night, and it goes like Monday's okay, Tuesday's okay, and then it like ratchets up.
Wednesday's like meh,
and then I got it, and then I know I'm going to be like solid on the weekend. I step in on Monday, Tuesday are like my workload days, and I know I'm going to get everything done that I want. I'm going to get a great workout in. I'm going to fucking knock out a ton of shit. I'm going to lay out my priorities for the week. By today, a little bit foggy, like forgetting some shit.
Well, and I think some of that is guys don't realize when you have stress going on, like people allow themselves to be minorly stressed.
Right.
Man, it pisses my girlfriend off to no end, but all the time I'm like, why? Just whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, just so much stuff. And I'm not being flippant. I just understand that there's some shit I can't change.
Right.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. You know, that's fine. And if you turn that into a habit, if you habituate the fact that most shit can't be changed, nor does it matter if you do try and change it. Like, does it really matter if instead of this bag of water, I wanted a Aquafina or a Dasani? No. But if I stress out about it, that's a minor little bit of stress that my brain is going through, my body's going through to deal with that shit that is stupid. Completely ridiculous. And that stuff adds up.
Yeah.
That adds up, and that's why people are overstressed now. Because humans, like, we're built to deal with small stresses. Like, on a very, very non-regular basis, because most, like, hunter-gatherer groups, they work, like, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
And by work, I mean, that includes everything, going and getting water, getting food,
everything.
Getting hunting, all of the shit. The rest of the time, they're lounging or sleeping.
Yeah.
Right? We're apes. That's what we're built to do. That's how we function. That's cool. So when people think like, well, I only work 40 hours a week. Yeah, okay, cool. But how much are you checking your phone? How many emails are you checking? All this other shit that you're doing.
How much time are you spending in traffic?
Yeah.
Like you're driving.
And you're not enjoying the drive.
No.
Like you're not listening to a podcast or listening to a book or listening to something that you want to listen to. You're listening to the radio or, God forbid, the news.
Yeah.
And then freaking out about that.
It's fucking jacking up your stress.
Yeah. Because they're consumer based. They want you to consume their product. It's working really well.
It's working very well.
I don't care what your point of view is. It's gonna damage you. Like
it's built to damage.
You want some information? Go do some research. That's cool. Don't spend your entire day getting flooded. Mm-mm. There's no, like, if you need some water, just put the cup out in the rain. You don't need to stand in it.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, like, I've been watching your Instagram feed. Obviously, we met a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is good, man. You've made a good transition. It seems like you're living a healthy life, but more importantly, you can see that you're motivated to lead or live a healthy life.
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's super cool to see. I like that. I definitely like it in the veteran community. It's just, guys need to kind of put that out more. They need to say, "This is what I'm doing in my life. This is a healthy step forward. This is a promotion of eating just like meat and vegetables." Like, when I say that, it's like there's something to that. Just like sticking to meat, vegetables, water, shutting off your electronics, drinking, less. When I say like less energy drinks because it's full of fucking all kinds of crazy ass shit. It's like guys could change their lives overnight and start to optimize themselves if they made super, super small adjustments.
For sure. And that's what I tell people. And like, I don't have a huge following on Instagram. But I do get people asking me questions. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if there's even one person that benefits from some of that information that they deserve that coming back from me. The stuff like, I don't know how many times I've been asked about the salt in the water thing in the morning, right? Or how I sleep, or why do I walk around barefoot all the time if I can? Or why do I use like 0-drop shoes? Why do I eat the things I eat? Like, I'm trying to do this clean sort of living, but really I just want to be a modern person that lives as close to physically what we're supposed to genetically, but optimized through a modern world. I don't want to go live in a cave. That's stupid. I did that.
Right.
That's cool.
No.
I just want to be like a better version of myself every damn day.
Well, I'm gonna shut it down on not shut it down, but we're gonna transition to episode 2 here in a bit. So this is the first part with where can they find you?
So they can find me on Instagram. It's Thompson_parasports.
Super easy.
Super easy. It's because I do all sorts of parachute sports.
He does, and it's epic, man. You've made some videos for us for Black Rifle Coffee. There's gonna be more content coming out with Trevor.
Damn right.
And we'll be looking at a couple more episodes here at Launch Code with Trevor Thompson and Thompson_parasports. There we go. So check him out on Instagram. Check out some of our previous content that we've done with them, and drink more water, get more sleep, eat a little bit better, and even if it's just walking, just get out and fucking exercise.
For
this
real.
is Evan Hafer, Trevor Thompson. Thanks a lot. It's Launch Code.
Thanks, guys.